Hello everyone, Dr. Beard here. I hope you've had a wonderful week and you're excited about the next phase of your leadership journey. But before we move forward, I would like to quickly look back at just how far you've come this semester. It's been exciting reading your reflections and reviewing your assignments and observing all of the growth that has occurred in each and every one of you. You know, we started this semester looking at this idea that leaders must decide on what matters in life before they can live a life that matters. Before you can lead others, you need to be able to lead yourself. You need to know who you are, how you tick, how you do things. So you discovered your purpose, your why. When you know your why, your what can have more impact because you're continually walking in or towards your purpose. From that, you looked at your character strengths, you identified some leadership strengths and weaknesses, and this idea of self-discovery and making self-awareness a habit. It's not self-destruction. It's not that we beat ourselves up, but we identify areas that we continuously improve and get better. John F. Kennedy said, leadership and learning go together. They're indispensable. You must be a lifelong learner if you're going to grow as a leader. You can't force your will on people. If you want them to act differently, you need to inspire them to change themselves. So leadership is really about inspiring others, and as you guys have pointed out, modeling desired behaviors. So you've considered what it takes to be a leader and the fact that you can lead from any position. It's been said a leader without a title is better than a title without the ability to lead. So we can lead from any position. And so what does that mean in the field of educational technology? Do you have to be a principal or assistant principal or technology coordinator? No, you can lead from any position that you're in. So what does that mean to you? The core fundamentals of leadership are transferable in any field, whether it's business, whether it's a technical field, or education. But then the application of it may look a little different. So we're looking more specifically now, how does it apply to educational technology? So you've identified some areas that will help you become a more effective leader. That's why that was so important to start there. And you started developing your professional development plan with both professional and personal goals. And then you've thought about communication and this idea that effective communication is really a transfer of understanding. The sender, that's what you mean. The message, what you say. Receiver is what I hear. Sometimes we think we're great communicators, but really we're just saying a lot, or we're sending a lot of information, or maybe a lot of data. But is a receiver understanding the message we're trying to send? It's been said that the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it's taking place. So we have to be good listeners and have to understand that there's meaning in words, but do people understand the words I'm sending? Consequently, I can never tell you what you said. I can only tell you what I heard. I need to rephrase what you said, maybe check it out with you to make sure what left your mind and heart arrived at my mind and heart intact and without distortion. So we have to think about that when we talk about communication. And as you've thought about communication, maybe identified some strengths, some areas you're good at, maybe some blind spots or areas you need to work on. We're going to continually work on this idea of how can you effectively communicate messages as it pertains to leadership, technology, and learning to do that with some different presentation technologies. Especially during the times we're in now, folks are less and less in person, so you lose the ability to hear some of the inflection, see some of the nonverbals or body language. So it's important to learn how can we effectively transfer understanding through electronic means. So this week we're going to think about that, but then also look at technology and some things we need to consider maybe currently with technology. So I'm working on this quick lecture. I want to keep it brief and just walk through some of the details this week. The readings this week take a look at technology used for instructional applications and how we are planning to implement technology. And specifically, as we look at this area of digital divide, it's been an ongoing problem, and many folks thought we had sort of peaked on the curve and really started moving the needle, as we might say, in the right direction as far as eliminating a lot of the digital divide. And then we had this recent issue where now folks are teleworking more, students are doing more distance learning, even in the K-12 area, and we identified even more areas that we are still struggling and falling behind when it comes to equal opportunity for everyone to have the technologies they need. So I want you to explore this area. Think about how, as a school or school system, we're planning and preparing to implement technology and make it accessible for everyone. And certainly, as with readings before, I want you to look for an article, blog, website that's related to this area, so you can read the ones that I have shared with you. Get you thinking a little bit, as you guys have done a great job. And then with the discussion post, I want you to really consider these questions. How would you define planning, and what are some common elements you've thought about planning and preparing this last couple of weeks as far as your personal development and how you might plan and think about doing things? Some of you tie that back to personal areas of your life and other things that you're doing, but thinking about this now specifically as it applies to technology. And then I want you to think about schools and school districts. What do they do with their planning? Is it at the school level, district level? What does that look like? And who do you think the primary participants would be? And then thinking about this idea of the current status of U.S. schools and households as it pertains to the digital divide. And how does this impact the integration of instructional or educational technology? So a lot to think about there, and I'm looking forward to your thoughts and what you uncover. And the assignment, I want to give you a couple weeks on this, and if we need more, we can flex on this, because for some this will be a little easier than others. But thinking about the fact that administrative applications, although they have progressed steadily, opinions vary about the benefits of technology in regard to instructional application. Now, over the last year or so, with this with the advancement of technology, then especially now with this COVID pandemic, we've seen the sudden need to utilize virtual learning space and distance learning. So some folks have shifted more so than they were even a year ago. But there's still, you would think in this technological age, folks will be moving that way rapidly, but there's still some folks that are really reluctant. Now, again, last year has changed that somewhat. So I want you to research a school or school district and learn the current use and advancement of educational technology, the planning process, and the policies governing the current use of technology, and what you can learn about plans to implement in the future. Maybe exciting right now because there may be a lot of movement in that area. But as you think about it, here's some requirements I want you to look at. And you can find the answer to the questions below. And you can look back at some of the suggested presentation tools in Module 5, or you can pull from any that you may find out there that you've used. I'd like for you to try something different than you used last time. So if you use PowerPoint, try to use Prezi or one of these other tools. And as you consider a school or school district, see if you can learn how advanced a school or school district is currently in terms of educational technology. Is it a one-to-one school? What classroom technologies do they use? Are cell phones allowed? Do they leverage cell phones in the classroom using mobile apps? If it's a one-to-one school, are they using tablets or laptops? And as you identify how educational technology planning is accomplished, how does the school process, how does it integrate with the district? So does the local get that guidance from the district, the state? How does it all work? So just as much as you can find out about that. And as you learn some of the thoughts around that process, maybe you have some suggestions about how it could be improved at the local area, school level. Review the educational technology policies that you can find. At what grade is technology introduced? So at kindergarten, do they just use classroom technologies, interactive whiteboards, and maybe laptops and tablets in the classroom, or standalone desktop computers? Or do they distribute tablets in kindergarten, first grade, second grade? Is it, if it's a one-to-one school, and eventually, when do they transition into using laptops? At some point, maybe middle school, high school. So learn as much as you can about all of these areas, and then I want you to report it back. And what I'm trying to do with the presentations, if we were in class, I would have you go research these areas and learn as much as you can and come back and share it in the class. Obviously, we're in a distance learning platform doing a asynchronous class, so I'm going to have you present it. So you'll use the presentation tool of your choice and then screencast it and share it with us. And I'm also trying to avoid, in graduate school, it seems like we do a lot of writing. So I want to hopefully make this easier for you. So as you learn these things, you just put it in a bulleted, use image, and then be able to just share it with us in your words. So you'll create another screencast. Again, use Prezi, any of the other tools out there. PowerPoint is fine, but try to use some different things so you can learn different ways to communicate. I do have a rubric for this one this week. Certainly ask if you have any questions or concerns or any delays that you run into. And then, of course, we'll wrap up with the opportunity for you to review and reflect in your blog. And I want to make a point again, the blog, this should just be your free-flowing thoughts. I'm not grading for APA format or really even grammatical or punctuation errors. I'm just looking for you to share what you're learning, what your takeaway is, and how you're growing. Well, that should be enough to get you going. Let me know if you have any questions. Next week, we'll be looking at technology use for school leadership as far as database management systems and spreadsheets, how we use it for maybe even learning management systems. How do we use technology for administrative applications? Have a great week. Stay safe and keep learning and growing.